Warning, this video is only for 14 and up, and if you're under, please leave this video because I will not be accused of something I don't want to be accused of. Please, if you're under, leave the video. Stories go through the air. You can listen and you cannot. But stories are here to help. Understand what is right and what is wrong. But sometimes stories can do the opposite. There's no right or wrong. You have to form your own opinion. But that is not what you're here for. You're here to listen to this silly little god of this channel. Listens to his mind going on about his stories, about the different worlds where he's traveling to, and where he can make some small different in a timeline. Welcome to the Blue Mask What If channel. Hello everyone, this is Blue Mask and welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys will enjoy my video and let's begin. Hello everyone, this is Blue Mask and like I said in the intro, welcome back to my channel. Now, I usually do this in the beginning to say, go down to where you can vote on the week's video. Go down below to the fourth picture and go to the Q&A video. Leave some questions for me so I can make that Q&A video. Anyways, I have actually forgot to post the vote like a few days ago. And I just remembered when I started to record that I have to post that. So I went back and then I posted the option. It is, what if Bell Cranel was the monster hunter? What if Danmachi was a video game? I think the actually last part of that series, it's a one-time series, it's not gonna go on for much longer. And what if Deku was the owner of a Freddy Fazbear's pizzeria? I think that will go on for like 2 more episodes before that series also will end. Wow, I have a lot of series that's gonna end. Well, anyways, I really do hope you're gonna vote on those 3, because that's gonna be the next week video. Anyways, today we're gonna continue What If Bell Cranel was a Sheikah. Now, last episode was a more calmer episode. A lot of my videos has been more calmer episodes in them. So yeah, but that goes more over the relationship of Loki and Hestia most of the time, explaining what is happening with those two, and Bell actually getting introduced to the rest of his familiar members. No, not his familiar member, Loki's familiar members. He got introduced to all of them. And Ice, in the last episode, with Riveria and Lufia in the beginning, went to the Starlight Manor and visited Ryu and Bell when Loki and Hestia was out on a date. They talked. Izuku explained what he is. Izuku, motherfucker, it's Bell Cranel. Bell explained who he is and where he comes from. He gave them information about Hestia. After some few hours, Bell went out. No, a few days later, Bell went out. He met the Loki Familia. They got surprised that Bell just sneaked up on them, actually sitting beside Finn, by the way. The only 2 people I think I said noticed him was Ice and Loki, because Loki has been around him for much longer than the others, and actually could recognize a Sheikah step now, because she's also watched over Hyrule sometimes because of Hestia, or Hylia at this point. So she knows a little bit about every single race there. So yeah, that is what has happened, by the way. Oh, yeah, in the last part of the video, I slept over at the Starlight Manor because she couldn't get home before it got really, really dark. So she's staying over at the Starlight Manor in a separate room from others. So yeah, that's mostly what happened last episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and let's begin. We start in the hallway where we see Eyes, well, walking down it with a kind of sort of awake but still tired face after she realized she was not in the Twilight Manor. She was, for what she could remember from last night, was she stayed over at the not the Hestia. Yo. Sorry about that. Yeah, she remembered that she stayed over at the Starlight Manor, the Hylia and Hestia home, because it was a little dark, and the kind of sort of friend she has now with Belle Cranel, or not Belle Cranel, it's Belle's Sugomi. That's his name. Her sort of friendly relationship with Belle Sukayomi. She's right now walking down the hallway and downstairs to where she remember where where some sofas and the living room was. Actually running into Ryu down below. Oh, Miss Eyes. Hello there. I was almost going to come up and see if you were okay. Are you hungry? Yes, I am. Alright, follow me then. Ryu walked away from the stairs with Eyes following behind and walking into the kitchen. Eyes noticed that there is an eating room. But right now, there's not a lot of people to use that place. So, Ryu and Belle and Hylia is mostly eating in the kitchen. There's a little counter where you can sit and eat some food. When she walked in, she sees that there's some few food items like eggs and bacon and some toast on the table. She also sees Belle is sitting in the chair wearing his civilian outfit. If you don't remember, it's the one that looked in the Breath of the Wild, the civilian outfit in Kakuriko Village. When he's sitting there, he is not wearing the brown coat or the light brown coat on him. He's not wearing it. He's just wearing the pants and the muscle shirt that has actually no sleeves, if I remember correctly. So he's wearing that without that on. Belle eating some eggs and some bacon and drinking, I think, milk or juice at the table. But Eyes turned towards the kitchen to spot a very, very gorgeous and beautiful woman with blonde hair on the top, but going down, getting darker and darker into black hair, with a white sort of dress and her aura was like warm fire, but calm as a mother. That sort of feeling like she had felt with Riveria. Eyes stared at the woman that turned around to look at her. She had a face that looks like... The face looks like between Hestia and Zelda from Skyward Sword, a little between them. I will actually pull up two pictures so you guys understand what I'm talking about. Okay, these are the two pictures I wanted to talk about. It's the civilian outfit for Belle and the picture of Hylia, aka also Hestia, so you guys can remember them. That's Eyes was staring at this woman that is wearing, well, a white mourning kind of dress with two bracelets on. By the way, she's not wearing her veil, by the way. A little fact I want to add here. She is now, Hestia, aka Hylia, is permanently in that form. She can transform into Hestia, by the way. She can transform into it and stay in that forever also. But the permanent physical form of Hestia, aka Hylia, is that one. That is and always will be the form if she got knocked out, that will be that form she will stay in. So, after, watching the woman looking at her, the woman smiled and greeted Eyes for the actually first time. "Hello there, sweetheart. My name is Hylia, or Hestia if you want to say that name. I may be your goddess's girlfriend." "Don't lie, goddess," Belle says as he was eating his bacon and eggs. "You and Loki are dating, no matter what." "Hush, Belle." Yeah. Okay, goddess. "Now, please, dear, sit down. Have some food." "Thank you." I sat down on the counter and grabbed some, eggs and bacon and some other toast and started to eat it, actually enjoying this. This was very good food, of Eyes' opinion. So, Eyes looked at Hestia that smiled at her. "How did it go last night? I heard a little bit from Belle what happened." "Oh, You mean the meeting between him and my familia?" "Yes. It went, well, as you can say. That werewolf of yours is a lightweight." "Yeah, Pete is a lightweight drinker." I could understand that. Beast folk can have very terrible alcohol they cannot take alcohol that well. Yeah, we do understand that, but he still keeps drinking. That is his problem, not mine. How about the rest? It went fine. As much as I can say of him walking over and sitting down, surprising everyone. May I ask, how did you actually do that? Eyes looked at Belle and Belle looked back at her. Oh. You can say I was trained in stealth most of my life. I was training... Sorry if you can hear this, I just grabbed something. I was trained most of my life to be a shadow, of course, so sneaking behind people. Eyes blinked and Belle just disappeared from her eyes, looking around to not spot Belle at all. But hearing something on the left side of her is kind of the specialty of mine. I stood still for a moment, and Ryu was eating her food, by the way, not looking at Eyes or Belle. But Hylia being in front of them, looking at this interaction, actually seeing Belle, could feel Belle disappearing, still seeing him, by the way, and walking off his stool quietly as possible, not making any noise, walking over and standing behind Eyes and talking, behind her ear, saw a little red blush on her face. It's kind of my specialty. After Belle said that, I looked beside her to see Belle standing there with a smile. But I saw you walk up. Oh, I wasn't concentrating. I was still very sneaky. But most people that can see me can actually hear me, not hear me. I looked confused until when Belle was walking back to his chair, she heard nothing. Yeah, she could see him. She couldn't hear his footsteps. She looked down and spotted that Belle's outfit he was not wearing the shoes of the civilian outfit of the Sheikah. He was wearing he was actually wearing the socks from the Sheikah stealth outfit and was walking on still walking on his foot, but they're very quiet. So you can be quiet all the time. Yes, most people can spot me if they stick around for a long time. But you're the first time that you're the few people that actually spotted me immediately, without the stealth part. So, no, with my normal stealth on. But Beat saw you in the dungeon. I was covered in red blood. So yeah, he could have spotted me, and I really wasn't concentrating. So he could probably have heard me. Ice looked at Belle, and he started to eat again when Ice did the same. After some few moments of them eating and having a little small talk, Ice asked a question to Belle. May I ask? Go ahead. I want to spar with you, is that alright? If it's alright. Belle looked at her and smiled. Sure, I'm fine with it. We gotta do it, children. I want to see the difference. Belle looked at Hylia and she looked back at both of them. I want to see the difference between a highly stealth Sheikah against a highly fast adventurer, and see how great they can fight each other. Belle and Eyes looked at each other, and Belle smiled. Sure, why not? I don't mind. After they got finished eating, Belle went up and grabbed his Sheikah gear without some of his armor pieces. Ryu showed Eyes to the training area where she spotted Eyes and actually Ryu fighting beforehand. Well, the day they came to visit them. Walking out, Belle was in his stealth gear, with his mask on, by the way, walking over and grabbing a wooden long katana and the small sword from the Breath of the Wild game. The small sword from the Breath of the Wild game of the Sheikah sword. He grabbed that one, that size of that weapon, and stood in the training ground with Eyes grabbing a wooden rapier from the shed as well, and standing in front of Belle. Both of them standing there with Ryu in the middle of the whole situation. You both ready? Both of them nodded, and Ryu started to explain the rules she will set on this fight. No killing blows, no breaking of limbs. I want a clean sparring match. No hurting severely. Scratches, bruises is fine. No broken bones, like I said. Any tactics is valid, not lethal. Understand? Both of them nodded, and Ryu raised her hand. Ready? Begin. In that moment of Ryu saying begin, Belle disappeared from Ice's point of view. Her looking around for a moment and then started to breathe in and out, looking over the whole arena that went quiet after Belle disappearing. But after like 20 seconds of that, she could feel the wind coming towards her as fast as she could react. She drew the wooden rapier and blocked the attack from Belle. Him appearing in front of her after that, with eyes, sliding the blade away, making Belle attack from his right hand, trying to, cut into eyes when she blocked with her sword that's in the right hand. Yeah, she's right hand. Eyes blocked the blade from Belle's hand and pushed it towards his left side, his hand with the blade. It's the short sword he's using, by the way. When she did that, Belle tried to jump away, but Eyes went forward with her speed and trying to, poke Belle's stomach. But Belle, doing the smart thing after his arm with the small blade was at towards the left, used his, arm to grab the rapier and then throw it towards Ice's left, with Belle dunking under, and then, Belle has his blade in forward grip, by the way. Belle uses the small sword to block Ice's attack, and then threw it away from him. After that, Belle went forward. After that, getting good grip on the ground, went forward, trying to slash Ice's side, but her jumping to Belle tried to hit the right side of her. She jumped away from Belle and trying to cut into the middle, but Belle, seeing this, slammed his hand on the ground with the blade. He slammed a flat hand on the ground with the blade on the ground as well. So he went up into one-handed handstand before our eyes could even cut him, and then dropped down to a crouch, grabbing his blade again, looking at eyes that looked back at him. After some few moments, Belle grabbed the little sword and put it into the belt side of him. Let's say there's a belt on Belle's outfit. Putting the blade into the belt, Belle grabbed the longer wooden sword of his, and then went into a, kata. And Belle went with leg forward and everything else with a strong stand. Eyes moved forward, trying to slash from Belle's right side. From Belle's right side to the left side of him. Belle blocked it with the big sword and pushed forward, so both of them was actually in a blade lock. By doing this, Belle went his foot under, in between Ice's leg, and sweep her off the ground, slamming, tripping up Ice that fell to the ground, with Belle following with so he could do make sure that Eyes was on the ground with his blade lock. But by doing this, Eyes slamming on the ground, Eyes actually, put her legs together and put her legs on Belle's stomach, actually throwing him off of her. Belle was thrown up, and then he turned around into the air, landing on the ground, on both of his legs, sliding a little bit away from Eyes with raising his sword, with Eyes getting up and then looking at Belle. Both of them looked at each other, panting a little. Belle grabbing something and then throwing on the ground, releasing some smokes in a smoke kind of thing in the air. Eyes looked around trying to spot where he can come from, then felt the air change behind her. With something, not a blade by the way, but a hand, as she could feel it, going towards, her neck from behind. Grabbing that hand and then making sure that he was in front of her, kicked Belle's back and then trying to stab him, but disappearing when she couldn't see Belle's body into the smoke again. Doing this some few more time, Belle trying to hit Eyes on the feet, her jumping over. She could always, by the way, feel when he was about to attack because of her affinity with wind. Belle, not knowing this, thought it was more like instinct of fighting monsters, but it was sometimes instinct, but it was more that she could feel the air. After, by the way, a little time skip back, like 2 minutes when this fight began, with Eyes, when Belle did the handstand, Ryu and Hylia was watching the fight when they hear the gate from the front open and some few footsteps was coming towards where they could hear a sparring match. Coming around the corner from the entrance of the manor's gate, Loki appeared with Riveria, Gareth, Finn, and the Hylia twins and Luthia. Also Beat, by the way. Walking into the garden and see that Eyes and Belle was sparring. After seeing the sparring match, looking over at Ryu and Hylia, Loki walking over to greet Hylia. Both Loki just smiled and greeted Hylia, but Hylia just grabbed Loki and just talked to her. Shocking her actual familiar members, they now understand, these two are probably in a fucking relationship. But the others greeted, Ryu and told them about this. Then looking back at the sparring match where Belle tripped up Eyes and Belle got thrown away. He's quite skilled, Tyone says as she looked at the whole situation. He has been training for a while, Hylia said, looking at the fight when Belle threw out a smoke pellet. When the smoke appeared, the rest could only see the shadow of Eyes. But after some few moments, Eyes grabbed something that the rest couldn't see and threw it in front of her, trying to stab it. And this happened a lot of the times in the smoke when they was seeing Eyes' silhouette in it. Why is she attacking nothing? Oh, she's attacking Belle. We can't see him? No, you really have to be trained to see it. Or actually, if you're lucky, hear him. I can see where he is, Loki says, as the others, some of them probably couldn't see the smoke like the Hylian twins and Lufia, but Loki could see it, actually recognizing the movement of Bell. She could kind of see him. It was not a shadow kind of thing, it was like a outline of a person. With Finn watching the fight and started to see Bell's movement in the smoke, with Gareth and Riveria being experienced like Finn, also seeing the movement of Bell. He is quite skilled. Beat could not see Bell, by the way, but could hear 2 footsteps in this sparring match. You're not kidding. I cannot see him, but I can hear him. This was when they were talking. We're going back to the fight. Bell tried again to hit Eyes from behind, but this time trying to grab Eyes' trying to make sure that she fell. But when he got his foot under one of Eyes' leg and threw it upwards, Eyes immediately grabbed Bell's arm without Bell even noticing it. And when she grabbed his arm, when Eyes was actually like in a half square kind of position with her legs, threw Bell a little forward and a little down, and then when he was actually was thrown under Eyes' legs, she grabbed around with one of her legs, and then she she grabbed around Bell's neck with her legs, with one of her legs, and then jumped forward so she can get Bell on the ground, and then put his neck in a kind of chokehold with her legs so he cannot move. But at that moment, the smoke was actually disappearing when Eyes did the move. They could see her outline. They could see her shadow, those people that was watching but from the side. But they could now see Eyes' golden hair, making Bell drop on the ground and getting, choked by Eyes' leg. But Bell, holding his breath, immediately stood up, actually taking Eyes with him. He was trying to get Eyes to release him when he was about to get up and trying to roll. But when he stood up on his legs and trying to roll forward, Eyes leaned a little back, with Bell not able to do his roll, stood up immediately, and then started to move around awkwardly because he got another person on his shoulders at this point, and he could breathe because of the movement, by the way, of this. But both of them at the same time, Bell grabbed his short knife and put it at near Eyes' heart, where he could pierce it. If he had a real blade, he could put it at Eyes' where her heart is, and Eyes put her training weapon at Bell's heart, stopping for a moment with both of them huffing and puffing of this. Eyes was actually unconsciously not making sure that Bell was actually fucking being choked after he stood up. After standing there for a few moments, Ryu just said, training match over. This is a tie. After huffing and puffing for a moment, Bell drew his short sword away from near Eyes' heart, and Eyes did the same with hers. But here's the problem. At this point, Eyes is still wearing the outfit she has last night. How does she get off without showing people something under her skirt? And both of them realized it at that moment. Oh, this is Hylia seeing what was going on and seeing how Belle and Eyes are not doing anything to get Eyes off of Belle's shoulder, realizing that Eyes is still wearing her skirt, a short skirt, that is, luckily for both of them, is not showing anything of Eyes. But if she's trying to move off, that would happen. So Hylia walked over to the doorway of the house, walking in, with the others looking confused for a moment, but looking back at the situation, understood why. Oh, that is kind of awkward position, Loki said, looking at the two kids. The two 16-year-olds, or 15 maybe for Belle, if I'm correct, of how there are, well, of this. Belle, by the way, putting away his weapon and making sure that Eyes is stable, making sure grabbing on Eyes' knees so she's not falling off or anything else. And Eyes, well, Eyes is put away, well, not putting the sword on a belt or anything else, but had to, throw it on the ground so she could put her hands on Belle's head and making sure she couldn't, fall off his back. Thyone and Tyonas, seeing that the fight was over, with Lufia walking over to talk to Eyes and Belle. After some few moments of talking, Hylia came out with a blanket in her arms, walked over to Belle and Eyes. Now, let me help you with that. Grabbing, making sure that the blanket was out, put it around, Eyes and around Belle's neck, over his shoulders, so Belle could crouch down and Eyes could, make sure that her legs were now not crossed. She was actually sitting in a crossed-legged on Belle's neck, by the way. She was not dangling over her shoulders. It was crossed-legged the whole time. But when Hylia came over and put the blanket over the legs of Eyes and around Belle's neck, Eyes put her feet, uncrossed her legs, and Belle crouched down with Eyes, with Belle making sure that she's still not falling. Eyes got off of Belle's shoulders and stood up, with Hylia folding the blanket after it was used. And she stood there talking to Belle and Eyes about their fighting styles. I see you both have trained really hard with the sword. Yes, Goddess Hylia. Yes, I have. But I did see some few issues with your fighting style. Belle, let's start with you, because I've seen your fighting style most times. Don't know most of you two. You are stealthy, I know that. But sometimes brute force is the best option in some point. You using your smoke palette and trying to knock out Eyes and tripping her and trying to cut her stealthily did not work all the time. So you have to switch it up sometimes. Do you understand? Yes, Goddess Hylia. Eyes, I know that. I know when you're fighting someone stealthy and you can stand still and trying to hear them. But when you do, you can still trying to, well, use area swipes so you can hit the opponent, not grabbing them and trying to throw them away from you. That is a brutal mistake. Yes, Goddess Hylia. Everyone looked confused at this point of Hylia's tip to Bell and Eyes, with Hylia looking at them with confusion at their looks. What? I thought you were a peaceful goddess. I didn't know you knew, well, battle tactics. Finn says as looking at her. Oh, Finn. Loki looked at her. Finn that looked back at her. Hylia is one of the strongest combatants with a sword among the gods. Not the highest, but still a high combatant. She's not called the goddess of the Hylians without no reason. You are saying that I've used the sword in wars, Mr. Finn. I have fought many opponents with a sword, spear, and bows. I have fought against many opponents that is masters at their craft. Even though I don't look like it, I have fought in many wars. Among gods, among mortals, and among the terrifying monsters around the world. Hylia said, looking at Finn that looked at her with now very respect. So, you can give tips? Yes, well, mostly Hylian tips of fighting. Hylia smiled, looking at the children of Loki. Ryu, learning about this about Hylia, looked at Bell. Is this true? Yes, that is actually true. Well, for what I understand of Hylia's legends. Hylia is a compassionate goddess, but she's also known as the warrior goddess among Hylians. That is not a major part of her legend, but it's still known that she fought against a corrupted god back when she walked around with mortals. Oh. And those legends are true, Belle. Most of them. I've heard some weird ones sometimes. And I don't want to talk about it. Nah, okay. Bell said that he looked away. Now, may I ask why you actually came here, Loki? Oh, it was mostly to go grab Eyes, but the others came along to, well, actually meet you. They didn't believe that, we started to date again. Yeah, that. Well, that is kind of an intrigue. The goddess has always been a little pervert. Hey! Has gotten a girlfriend with another goddess. Well, Hylia smiled and looked at Loki. I can understand why your children were very confused. Be quiet. Now, if that was all, I need to do something before this night's events. And what would that be? Loki says as she looks at, well, Hylia. Well, dear Loki, remember? It's the party before, well, Monstophilia is gonna happen. Oh yeah, I usually don't go to those. But maybe I can go. Well, you're gonna go. Alia says as she walks over to Loki, grabbing her chin and making Loki look at her. And you're gonna wear a nice suit. A suit? Yes, a suit. Yes, ma'am. Good. Hylia says as she released Loki's, face and looked at Ryu. Do you mind helping me with something, Ryu? And what would that be? Help pick out a little something for tonight. Hylia says as she and her and Ryu walked into the house. The others stood there looking at the two women walking into the house, with Loki blushing a little about, Hylia. So we should probably go then. Thank you for keeping Ive safe from last night, Belle. Loki says as she looked at Belle. Oh, it's no problem, Goddess Loki. Belle says as he bowed to her. Now come along, children. I need to get something for tonight. Everyone nodded at this and walked away from the house, with Belle walking into it and walking up to his room, getting on the rest of his gear. The rest of his armor when he moved a little around. Putting on a scarf. The sort of cloak. It's kind of the same cloak as in the What If Belle Cranel Was an Item Maker. That kind of cloak Belle is putting on to, cover up his marks and everything else. Belle, looking at his armor set and everything else, thought, I really need to get better armor. Even though I like this armor, I really need to get protection. Belle, grabbing his real sword and short sword, put the short sword on his waist and his sword on his back, putting on a kind of backpack. Belle has put a little upgrades on his, not his costume, his outfit. Instead of just being slimmed down and doesn't have, I think it does have pockets. It didn't have a big backpack on his back. By the way, if I said it, Belle doesn't have a magic bag or anything else. So we can just retcon that. Belle doesn't have a magic pack or anything else. He has a backpack or a small bag like in his first ever adventurer outfit, that kind of thing on his back. And making sure that everything was, on correctly and everything else. And walked out over to the dungeon and walking down the stairs. It took like 45 minutes to get to the stairs and going down to the dungeon. Or maybe half an hour to get to the entrance of the dungeon and down to the first floor. Where Belle walking around. Looking into the dungeon, he walked around and killing some few goblins and kobolds walking in. Right now, Belle was actually having a little scuffle with, a group of monsters. He was fighting around 7 kobolds that was actually jumping in mostly, they were working well together at this point, giving Belle a kind of a little bit of a hard time to hit one. When he's trying to attack one, another one trying to kill him. After doing this for a few moments and getting annoyed, a slash of a sword came from, well, behind him when a kobold tried to attack him. Bell, not turning around at this point, jumped back a little and landed where the kobold tried to kill him. With another man rushing forward with a huge axe cutting down 3 other monsters, with a woman with a katana and a man with a girl, I think it was a girl with a bow. Girl with a bow shooting, well, down some few monsters, killing the 7 monsters that gave Bell a little problem. Stopping and looking at the, well, like 6 people that was there, Bell smiled and thanked them for their help. Thank you for saving me. It was no problem at all. But then Bell realized, wait, you can see me? Everyone in the group looked confused when the leader of sorts asked, what do you mean by see you? Well, normal people don't see me at all because I'm very stealthy. So, how can you see me? After some few moments, everyone realized in the group what he was talking about. Oh, you are a kind of shinobi, are you? Well, yes, I think so. You mean by shinobi, a stealthy person that can sneak around shadows and hide in everything you can try to hide in? Yes. Then yes, that is kind of the training I have had. Oh, then also some of us has, and we have been trained to spot them. People that is shinobi. Oh, that's how you see me. Oh, then that makes sense. And what is your names? Oh, our apology. My name is Aka. Yeah, Aka. Oka. I think it was Ocker or Oka. My name is Chikusa. My name is Mikoto. And the rest of the 3 also talk. I don't remember their names, by the way, so that's why. And we are from the technicality. I can't say it. Familia. Oh, I have heard of you. Yeah, I think my goddess has named your god beforehand. I think they're actually friends. Oh, what family are you from then? Oh, you probably have heard of her second name. I'm from the Hestia Familia. Or, if you want to make it real, it's Hylia Familia now. Hestia. Hylia. Everyone thought for a moment, then Chikusa remembered something. Wait, did you say Hylia? Yeah, Hylia. Goddess Hylia. Or Hestia. I think our god did mention Hestia sometimes. That he talked to her. But I do remember a story about Hylia. She's the goddess of a foreign land, isn't she? Of a place called Hali? Horul? Lorul? Hyrule. Yes, I'm from there. Oh. Okay. Now that you mention it, that does make sense. Anyways. Do you want to keep the stones? No, I didn't kill them. You guys did. I didn't do much in that fight. So you can take the crystals, by the way. Belle pointed at the crystals that was laying on the ground. Chikusa, walking over, picked up the stones and put it in her bag. Now, you did forget to introduce yourself. Oh, I am so sorry. My name is Belle Shikoromi. I am a Sheikah, or a Hylian Sheikah. Hmm? Oh, I think that has been named by our god. Well, that is very interesting, but I have to go to earn some more money. It's very nice to meet you all. Belle bowed and walked over to a hallway and then disappearing into it. The group tried to see him down the corridor, but he has disappeared from their eyes. He wasn't lying. Yes, he didn't. The group walked away from the area and continued on their hunting for money in the dungeon. After like 2 hours of being in the dungeon, Belle got up and sighed a little. He has got some few, crystals and drop items from the, monsters. He actually went below level 5, actually getting to he went below floor 5, actually reaching floor, I think I will say, he reached almost reached floor 8 before he had to turn around because he has used up all of his potions. Sighing, walking up to the guild and reporting his, report to Aina so she could put it in his binder of documents. Belle got his money that was around, let's say 5,000 valis for all the dungeon crawl he did. Getting the money and put it away, Belle asked for a recommendation for armor sets. Armor sets. There is some few cheap ones in Babel Tower. On floor 36, I think, is the place where you can go around to find gear for level 1s and 2s. Oh, thank you, Aina. You're welcome. Is there anything else you need to know? Not as much. No. Belle says as he thanks Aina for the information and walked out of the guild. Walking over to, standing outside looking at Babel, he sighs and walking away from the guild when when he sees, some from what he was informed from the Freya Familia, walked by the group. Two from Freya Familia being hidden and Hayden, the blonde elf with glasses, and Alan walked by into the guild. Belle realized what they were doing and walked away from the guild when he saw it. After some few minutes of walking, he looked into an alley and spotted a tall figure with 2 swords on his back, this being Otter. Belle walking inside and meeting Otter in the alleyway, Belle looking up at him, Otter looked at Belle. The deal has begun, and here are... and Goddess Freya has asked for one of them. Already? Bell looked at Otter and he nodded. Yes. Okay, what is this deal? What is our part of the deal? Well, Otter explained what the deal was, and Bell nodded this and walked out of the alleyway. After some few minutes of, around 15 minutes of walk, he walked 15 minutes away from the guild before meeting Otter. After walking for a little bit, he reached back at the Starlight Garden and walking into the house where Ryu and Hestia was, waiting. Is it done? Yes. Bell nodding and looking at Ryu that was kind of scuffed up at this point, but doesn't look, battered or bruised in any way. You're probably wondering what is going on. You see, Hylia wanted to make sure that Ryu could get out of her little situation with her killing a god and everything else. And no, she didn't kill a god. She destroyed a familia and have a bounty on her head. Hylia sent a letter to Freya to ask for help to get rid of it. Freya have communicated with Hylia for a few days to make up a plan of making sure that, Ryu, or the Guildwind, is dead. So they had up a plan about it, setting up a situation where the Guildwind was spotted and was informed by a familia that was closest, and that was Ryu. Well, not Ryu, but Freya's familia. Alan and the blonde elf went after her and got into a fight with Ryu that led to, the mage casting a spell and hitting Ryu and sort of killing her with a fire spell. The only remaining part of her was the hood of her cloak that survived. But luckily for, Ryu, it was in a near deadly street where there was a abandoned building with a hidden entrance that Freya knew about, because of one of her familia discovered it a long time ago that she has discovered again after forgetting about it. They used that building with the hidden entrance to use the fireball for Ryu's cloak to burn away, probably get a cloth or anything else, with her getting into the building through the secret entrance and hiding away. After that, the whole situation is happening with, that. And after Ryu is pronounced dead a couple, half an hour ago, there is a new person that Freya asked the guild's head to recommend. Is Ryu... It's not Ryu, it's... Rhea, let's say. Named Rhea Alice. Rhea Alice is the name that they put on to the second captain of the Hylia or Hestia familia. They didn't actually put Ryu's name of the second in command of their familia. So Rhea or Rhea Alice is her name, but everyone's just gonna call her Ryu. So she has a second name, but everyone is still gonna call her Ryu or Ryu Lion. Yeah, her last name is Lion, right? Ryu Lion. So yeah, they did a whole shenanigans with turning around and everything else. But the deal was they can do this. Freya get free favors from Hylia. And she's already casting in one of them. And that one situation, Belle, after some few hours, is right now doing. You see, Freya have discovered something odd about something happening in, well, Orario. Some mysterious figures has been showing up, and some of them has done something disturbing sometimes. And she thinks some gods has been in on it, and wanted Belle to try to find out in this kind of situation with Ganesha Ball and everything else. So Freya asked, well, Belle, to be at the ball but hidden on top of ledges or roofs to hide away. And luckily for Belle, he has sneaked in before anyone even arrived, staying hidden for an hour before the event even started. So he stayed up in rafters or anywhere else where no one can spot him. So Belle is just barely, not barely. Belle is just barely hearing conversations around the ball and everything else, looking at every single god or anything else. But we're not gonna focus on him because that's gonna be boring as fuck. Instead, we're gonna focus on, well, the two people that is walking in that Belle spotted. By the way, Goddess Hylia is wearing the picture that I show you guys. Let's say that, and Loki is wearing the red tuxedo that she wear at the Apollo ball. Sorry about that, mic got cut off. So, Loki is wearing the red tuxedo that she wear at Apollo's ball, and Hylia is wearing the white kind of outfit that she's wearing at the picture a little bit behind, back there in the video. That is what she's wearing. When they walk in, the gods are surprised to see Loki actually there. She hasn't shown up the last 2 times they had this, but they're more surprised that for most of them, by the way, the unknown goddess that is walking beside Loki. The gods were talking about this and asked who she is or anything else, where Loki and Hylia was standing over at the, well, tableware to get some food, and, well, grabbing some few champagne, well, some drinks and everything else, when Hephaestus walks over to them. Hello there, Loki. Hylia. Hello there, Hephaestus. How have you been? I've been well. How's your familia doing? They're doing wonderfully. Thank you very much. Some of the gods and goddesses that hear Hylia, some of the younger gods and everything else, doesn't recognize it, but some of the older gods that is there recognized that name. They have forgotten how she looked in the past, but seeing her now and the golden black hair situation she has, everyone recognized Hylia. After some few minutes of conversations between the three ladies, a god walks over to them with a smile on his face. This is Ganesha walking over to greet an old friend. Hylia, I must say, it's great to see you back in your original form. Ganesha, it is good to see you, old friend. Even though I have been in my weaker form. Yes, and I must say that your new look, for what I remember of the old one, is quite good for you. Compliments both of your previous looks. Thank you very much. And I've seen you two have gone back together again. Well, some little convincing for this little joker had to be done. I'm not just a pet to you. No, you're not. And I know it. Hylia says, looking at Loki that had a blush on her face. Ah, finally you have been tamed again, Loki. It's been a while. Shut up, Ganesha. Now, I just wanted to say hello to you again, Hylia. Have a good evening at my party. I am Ganesha. And it was great to see you again, Ganesha. Ganesha walked away from the little group, and Freya actually showed up after 2 minutes. Well, it seems like you have introduced to you one of your older friends again. Yes, Freya, I have. And thank you for the little help a little earlier. Oh, it doesn't really matter, but I hope our deal will go through. And it is, don't worry about it. Loki and Hephaestus, that hear this small conversation that no one else heard, looked confused. Well, there has been some little problems for me that I have discovered, so I hope your little helper could help me tonight. Both of them could understand the conversation about, but didn't understand how. What are you two talking about? Oh, Freya asked for a little help about a situation she has discovered. One of my family members is helping her right now. Hylia says as one of her fingers points up to the roof. Loki discreetly, after looking around to no one, some of them was watching the two powerful familia talking, but no one noticed that Loki had put her glass down and just moved around a little to stretch a little, moved her hands above her head and moved her head upwards, and spotted Belle on the roof looking at everyone. She opened her eyes a little, and Belle looked down to spot Loki watching her. Waving a little, and Belle could see Loki blinked at her, moved back to her normal position. Hephaestus looked at Loki when she just said, "The red eye is watching. Just wanted to stretch a little. My red eye is always watching around, Hephaestus." The meaning of the red eye kind of took some few moments before Hephaestus understood the wording. A red eye sounds like the logo of the Sheikah that is an actual red eye. So Belle is probably here watching over the whole festive and anything else. After some few conversation, a man with reddish orange hair walked over with a sunrise look. "Well, you are a new goddess that I haven't seen beforehand." What might be your name? This was Apollo. Oh, Apollo, it's good to see you again. We have met. I would have spotted someone as... Watch your tone, Apollo. Loki says, looking at Apollo. Why should that matter to you, Loki? Well, she will be pissed if you try to flirt with me, Apollo. And you shouldn't do that to me. Why's that? Hylia looked at Apollo and smiled. You wouldn't flirt with your aunt again, would you? Everyone that heard that line, you won't flirt with your aunt again. Confused everyone for a moment, then Apollo recognized the tone. Hestia? Every of the younger gods were shocked about hearing Hestia from Apollo. Yes, but my original name was Hylia. No. You should be shorter and you should be weaker. Apollo. Mind being quiet, little nephew. I'm not the weakest god. So please, keep your voice down. Hylia says, looking at Apollo, that has this weird look at, Hylia. But Hylia should be a god that disappeared. Yes, that was the thing that younger gods explained why I wasn't here anymore. But they have forgotten that I was, and still am, Hylia. So, do you mind walking away? Because I will not deal with your little tantrums, Apollo. You shouldn't speak to me! Before Apollo could say anything else, a sandal appeared in Hestia's hand. I will use this, and it will hurt Apollo. Seeing the sandal in, Hestia's hands, Apollo turned around and walked away from, Hestia. You're still frightful as ever. Hearing another voice coming over, Hestia turned around to see Take walking over. Take, it's good to see your old friend. Take and Hestia hugged for a greeting because they are close friends. Hestia let go and smiled at Take. How have your familia been? They've been great. I think I actually met one of the familia members of yours. Bel... Tsukuyomi. Ah, yes, he did mention meeting your familia members. And I must say, they're quite trained to spotting him. Yes, that is quite interesting. And quite interesting that he is a Hylian, even a Sheikah. Yes, he discovered me after you tried to search for me. My child has some few things he wanted to find. I see. Well, it's very good to see you, Hylia. But I must go and get some food myself. Take says as walking away from the little conversation. Freya said her goodbyes and walked away from the group, walking over to a balcony what Hestia or Hylia saw. After some few moments, another last person walked over to the group. My, Aunt Hestia, couldn't believe that is you. Hermes, how's my little thieving nephew doing? Ow! That is a critical hit, Hermes says as he tightened his chest from the little insult Hestia gave him. Now, Dao, don't complain. But how have you been? I've been fine, Aunt Hestia. And I must say, you telling me that you are Hylia is quite surprising that I was proving wrong. Well, younger gods do not remember me that much. Yes, that is a point. Now, I've heard you got your own familia now. Yes, I have. How's the two, members of it? They're doing quite well. Thank you, Hermes. You're quite... But I'm kind of intrigued about your captain. He seems like an elf, but is registered as another race. Alien? Yes, he is. Oh, that is quite intriguing. Now, Hermes. Hestia grabbed Hermes' ears and, grabbed it a little hard. Ow, ow, ow. Don't go into meddling with other people's business. Alright. I'm sorry. Now, you should probably get some food. You look kind of skinny right now. And you're still your old Aunt Hestia. Thank you for the little conversation, though. Hermes walked away to grab some few food and, Inori take for a few moments. We're gonna time skip a little back. We see Freya walking over to a quiet balcony. She was walking over to a quiet balcony where no gods was actually there to see her. Standing there looking out to the party, Belle was sitting behind Freya's Freya walked up the stairs and towards the right to a corner where no one could see anything. She was standing beside a plant on her right, and Belle was crouching on the knees closer to the railing so no one could spot him. He was on her left. So, any gods looking suspicious? Some gods look out of their place sometimes. I cannot make sure that they are up to no good. Who is on your mind? You did talk to, Demeter and Dionysus earlier. I don't like that man, Dionysus. Demeter seems like she has some few issues, but I don't know exactly what. Anyone else? Only one person, that Ishtar woman. She has a little anger towards you, but it seems she has her own schemes on her sleeves. Is that so? Anyone else? Towards you? No, not certain. Towards Aurario, that is a bigger question. But it seems that Apollo has gotten a little angry at my goddess. Yes, and I do love when Hestia pulls out that sandal of hers back then, when she was Hylia. She did quite use that as a weapon at me and other Norse gods. Yes. Thank you for your little help. Please monitor the rest of the gods more, please. Understood. Belle disappeared after a moment from Freya's side when she walked away. After the whole party was over and everything else, Belle gave her the information again, but nothing changed at all. But he did give that Dionysus looks like he was in a drunk kindness kind of situation. He can explain that some people rarely can be drunk and be kind. Like he's hiding something from himself or someone else. Freya thanked him, and Belle, disappeared from the party, appearing 30 minutes before, Hestia arrived back. Well, she should have arrived back when someone else appeared at their door. This being, Eyes again. Oh, Eyes. What are you doing here? Just want to inform you that, your goddess is staying at the Twilight Manor tonight. Oh. Just to make sure your walls are soundproof, right? Yes. That is great for you. Isn't it too late? It was almost getting it was actually hitting midnight at that point at night. Do you need to stay here again? Belle says, looking at Eyes. Yes, please. It was kind of a little too late when I realized that. Yes. Belle showed up the same room to Eyes again. When she walked in, Belle walked back to the room and laid down on the bed, falling asleep after some few moments. Belle was dreaming, and this was not a nice dream. He could hear voices around him. Belle was looking around in a kind of cell where he could hear a voice saying, "I'm gonna be the hero. I was supposed to be the hero. I am the hero!" Coming from a black silhouette on the ground, kneeling, screaming at the few people in front of Belle and this person. Belle looked to his side, where he could see himself raising a blade with a purple handle, but he had a cloth around the handle so he wouldn't get burned by this sword. Raising it up, looking at the person that was screaming he's supposed to be the hero, and a cloth fell down in front of him. Belle swung the sword down to the ground, and Belle woke up, sitting up from his bed and breathing as hard as he could. No. Belle looked at his hands. They were not burnt. They were not scarred. That wasn't from training. Belle remembered holding the handle of that magical sword. Why didn't it burn me? And that is gonna be it from this episode. I know it fucking got dark at the end, but it will all make sense in the future. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble about and everything else. Sorry. I hope you guys enjoyed this. The vote is up after, well, this recording will be posted. Has been up for around 2 hours for me. Uh, the next week's poll is up, like I said. It's what if Bell was the monster hunter? What if Danmachi was a video game? What if Deku owned a Freddy Fazbear's? The last episode of Danmachi's video game will be posted this week or next week. They will be consistent. That will be the permanent last episode of that series because it was kind of a one-off series. What if Bell owned, not Bell, what if Deku owned a Freddy Fazbear's? That is probably having 2 more episodes because of that is also a series that is, I thought I could make multiple full season, but it was just a one-off. So yeah, that is a one-off series that I hope you all will enjoy, or you are enjoying it. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this series. Good morning, goodbye, farewell, see you later. Have a wonderful, 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 wonderful day by Blue Masks. Good morning, goodbye, farewell, see you later. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. Bye bye. Leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. Comments are the most important one. Bye bye.